Hey guys, it's Penguin here, and welcome back to another gold making video. In today's video, we are going to be talking about how to make a ton of gold early on in patch 10.1. Firstly, as always, I hope you guys are enjoying this patch, and this video is going to be broken down into a lot of different sections. We're going to be talking about some brand new recipes and how to get them. We're going to be talking about what markets are actually good, and then we're going to be talking about new systems, clarifications that weren't very clear on PTR, and all of that. So this is kind of a combination of a market video, general tips video, and really just an information video that hopefully you can take at least one thing away from it. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. Leaving a like on the video or subscribing would be amazing, and let's dive right into it. And so, to get started, before we go on into the more complicated sides of things, I really just want to highlight a few new recipes that are easy to miss. And the first one is the new leatherworking drum recipes. So to any of you who have good eyes, you might have realized that the default leatherworking recipe has changed. However, there are also two more, and the only thing you have to do is go over to the trainer and pick them up. Once you do that, they will be in your journal like normal, and you can see that there is quite a difference in recipes. First, we have the hide-bound drums. Remember, all of these just make the same exact drum. This is the feral drum that we all know and love. And the first recipe requires 1 dense hide, which currently on the auction house goes for about 100 gold. Then the second recipe that we have is the leather-bound drums, and this is kind of the redo of the original recipe. It requires 100 leather and 100 scales. Now this seems like a lot, but because of leather is so cheap and scales is so cheap, the crafting cost is actually only about 81 gold. So this is technically cheaper than just the dense hide. However, the big game changer here is the new scaled recipe. This requires 1 luxurious scaled hide, which currently is on the auction house for about 34 to 35 gold. So this is a ridiculously cheap drum. And so if you're looking at drums and using either of the other two recipes besides this one, you are definitely losing out on a ton of gold. Now, of course, drums are all over the place with patch release, but last night I was able to sell drums around 60 gold a piece, and I actually bought scaled hide pre-patch for about 20 gold. Granted, it's still 35 gold, so 35 turns to 60 is still pretty great profits, especially with resourcefulness and multicraft, but this is the first thing I want to highlight. Secondly, moving on, we have Obsidian Combatant gear, and there's kind of two sides of this. First of all, to those who are unfamiliar, from, the start of Dragonflight, we have had Crimson Combatant gear, and this is just the PvP gear that people can buy off the auction house. However, in patch 10.1, we now have Obsidian Combatant gear, and this is just the brand new version of the one we just talked about. And these are earned through the same way as previously. So this is just, a drop, a BOE drop from PvP victories. So there's kind of two things you can do here. First of all, if you guys are lucky on your server, you can go onto the auction house and quickly just look up Obsidian Combatant, something like that, and anything that is on your auction house will show up. Keep in mind I'm on a smaller pop server, so yours is probably going to look drastically different, but keep an eye out for some really cheap recipes. For example, this one, as you can see, I bought it about 20 hours ago. I actually learned it, but I was able to snipe a mask for the Obsidian Combatants for 5,000 gold. And currently, other people have gotten the recipe and they're trying to sell it for 300,000. So 5k was a great steal. What you can either do is resell it, kind of like these people, or what I did was learn that recipe, and these right here are actually my listings. And I've already sold 2 of them, so I've already turned that 5k buy into about 80,000 gold, so let's just call it 70,000 gold profit. Now, besides this, keep in mind there's knowledge points by learning these or whatever. Keep in mind that there's also the trinkets, which you see here. You guys can see the emblem, the signa right here, as well as the medallion. And the reason why there are so many of these is because these are actually purchased through a vendor. just like its crimson, equivalents, what you need to do is pick up some awakened ire. Right here, you're gonna need 9 of them. Go to this vendor right here, and you can pick them up for 3 ire each. These are BOP, so you can't sell them in terms of the recipe, but learn the recipe, craft them, and sell them on the auction house. Like I said, this literally cost 3 awakened ire, which if you buy them at current prices on NA, that's going to cost you about 600 gold each. And I've been selling the medallion, the insignia, and the emblem for about anywhere between 20 to 30k each. As days go on, it will get cheaper and cheaper, but it's a great investment and some great easy knowledge points. Moving away from specific items, we need to talk about a new weekly gold making opportunity that is going to change every single week. And you guys can probably guess it, and this is the new weekly bartering brick quest in Valdrakken. Now, firstly, if you guys do not see these quests, it is given by this Niffin right here. If you talk to this person and you don't see any quest, or you don't see the NPC at all, that is because you need to complete the 10.1 introduction. So go do that and then come back. But once you have that done, and keep in mind you only have to do this once, it will be shown on your alts afterwards, you will see 4 quests. 2 of them are the quests that we are used to, and these are just the new knowledge point quest. So yes, they give some loam reputation, they're going to require you to do things we're not used to, but these are just kind of the standard knowledge point quest that we're used to, and of course it's going to change depending on the professions you have. However, the new thing to the scene are these 2 quests right here, which is the current weekly for week 1. Now, both of them are just simple quests that you need to deliver specific items to get Barter Bricks. For this one, you have to deliver 2 Draconium Fisher Friends, which are just the basic fishing poles from engineering, and then this one requires you to deliver 40 of the stews and 5 of the feast as well. And you guys can probably see what I'm going right here. Because of this quest and the fact that bartering bricks are so powerful or so much in demand, these items have skyrocketed. Keep in mind, this is not my main cook. This is actually just my alt, so as you can see, I don't even have it leveled up. I don't even have the best gear, but that is besides the point. If we go over to this stew recipe, right now it is insanely powerful. Normally, this recipe used to sell for about 5 gold pre-patch. Granted, to craft it, it was only about 3 gold because of the inflated prices, just because of the hype. But even so, paying 20 gold, you get 2 of these stews, so you're basically doubling your gold, or turning, 20 gold into 40 gold worth of items. Now, the crazy thing about this is it's really, really going to be important to find out what these quests are every single reset. To give you guys an example, I posted this on Twitter, but I did this, the night of when NA went live, and I actually ended up selling some of these stews for 4,000 gold a piece. The amazing thing is that I also stockpiled ribs and everything because I anticipated feast were going up, just not to go up this much, and so my crafting cost for those were literally like 3 gold, and I flipped them to 4,000. Of course, that's unreasonable a few days in, but still, having a 22 gold profit on a basic cooking item is amazing. And this also applies to those fisher friends, right? That is just a basic fishing pole. Give me 1 second and we'll change over to my other character. There we go, we're now on my auction house toon, and these fisher friends have made me a ton of gold. Honestly, the crafting cost is less than 200 gold each, and I am currently selling them on my server for 2,800 gold. Last night, they sold for about 1,500, so they've actually gone up, and this morning they were even selling for 5,000. So if we look up Fisher Friend right there, as you can see, they are selling great. If we go into the auctions, boom, more are selling right there. These are just such a simple item that any engineer can craft, so take advantage of these weekly quests. Now, sadly, this is one of those things that we're not exactly sure what's going to be showing up next week. The only quest we have seen on PTR are the ones that are using enchants or that are using pigments. I'll have those on screen, but there's no guarantee that there aren't other ones. So sadly, this isn't something you can really plan on, but this is just a market that you want to get your hands on and look at. And alright, this is kind of just a public service announcement. This is just a broad tip or reminder to just check every single item. Because it is patch, because it is crazy release, things are going crazy. People are resetting markets that, you didn't even think about, and prices are going up. So whatever professions you have, definitely check them. Now, I could spend 20 minutes going through every single profession showing you how much rates have increased, but for this example, I just wanted to pop on my jewel crafter. And so if we take a look at recipes right here, nothing crazy right here. This is about 7 gold, but hey, I'll take it. Glassy stone right now, I can make about 18 gold. Frameless lens, I can make about 31 gold. The draconic vials, I'm making about 18 gold, which is especially high. I used to only make about, 7 to 8 gold profit, so that's about double my money. Then, of course, we have the soul cages, which are making about 17. And hey, you can even sell pounce. I sell it a little bit. It's a little bit of a slow seller, but still, I can make a solid 32 gold. And this is just one profession. To save time, I won't, spend logging in and out, but engineering especially is also making a ton of gold with the basic reagents. Make sure you take a look at bags and really literally just anything. I know we talked about cooking, but look at other cooking items besides just the feast, because cooking in general have been going higher and higher. I've made a lot of gold off of fortune cookies as well as the deviled eggs, and technically those aren't tied to any quest. So just take a look at whatever markets you have available, and you likely can find some profit that you generally don't find very often. And so this brings us to my last market, and this is really just a generalized topic about Renown and bartering bricks. Firstly, the reason why I'm talking about this is because the good old recipe that everybody wants, the Dracothyst, and I have a few tips about this item specifically. Firstly, there is a known bug going around that if you have 10 out of 10 transmutes, which a lot of people do because they're saving them for this recipe, if you actually learn this recipe, you will go down to 1 out of 10. So basically, when you learn this, it's resetting your transmutes. However, what I found is if you just use a transmute, so you're at like 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 or 7 out of 10, and you learn this recipe, they don't actually reset. Because of that, last night, I was actually able to do 7 transmutes worth of Dracothyst, which of course brought me in a lot of gold. So that's just kind of a heads up and a tip to anybody who's just getting this recipe. Now, moving on from this recipe specifically, let's just talk about bartering bricks. Whether you are going for the contract, you're going for an enchant, going for Dracothyst, whatever it is, you're probably looking for either 25 bartering bricks or 80. And to kind of continue from my previous video, if you guys haven't seen it, I do recommend checking it out. I think it has some very solid advice. That was released on Tuesday. I do have some updated points that I discussed. Firstly, you can get 21 bricks right off the bat, assuming you hit Renown 3. I stated in the other video that you can get 1 bartering brick for simply introducing yourself to Ponzo, and that is true. Also, there's weekly quests that I just talked about in an earlier segment. Those, of course, turn them both in, and that is 10 bricks right there. However, once you hit Renown 3, you can actually get a quest to receive another 10 bricks. The reason why people miss this one is because you actually need to leave the caverns, because the male snail will actually come up to you, but you have to be outside of the zone, and they'll give you the quest to go back to Ponzo, and then you can get 10 bricks. So definitely what you're going to have to do is just go meet Ponzo, do your 2 weeklies, hit Renown 3, and then leave the cavern, come back, and get those last 10 bricks. So all of that together is going to give you an instant 21, and then if you're going for 25, you only have to work with RNG for the last 4. Moving on how to actually get those other 4, like stated in the other videos, you're basically relying on treasures as well as digs. Digs are the new minigame, technically it's called like Sniff and Seek as well. And at the end of each dig, you get a treasure chest, and opening that, you have a chance to receive bricks. It's not guaranteed. I've gotten 0, I've gotten 2, I've gotten 4, so it is RNG, but this is a good way to possibly get the last 4 you need. Besides the digs, you're really stuck with treasures, and that's what we need to talk about. In the previous video, I mentioned that smelly trash piles don't give bartering bricks, but the smelly disturbed dirt do, and that is still the case. However, it seems like smelly disturbed dirt is not available without Renown 11. In PTR, these disturbed dirt piles were available to everybody. My character on PTR only has Renown 4, that's the highest Renown I got, and I was able to get those. However, as you guys have probably experienced, they don't exist on live, and that is because it's likely locked behind Renown 11. This is not guaranteed, but because of this, Renown is going to be very, very important if you want those disturbed dirt piles. If you aren't Renown 11, it's okay, but you just have to rely on the higher level treasures, like the ritual offerings, the waterlogged crates, things like that, but once again, it comes down to chance. And this kind of brings us to my ending thought about Renown. Because Renown is so important, there's kind of 2 things I recommend. Firstly, make sure you go out there and complete all of the side quests. The side quests generally all give you Renown, definitely at the very end of the side quest, so they're definitely worth doing. Also, to the NA people, there was an exploit on NA, so people do have the contract recipes. Because of this, if you guys want it, you can buy the Niffin contract on the auction house, use that to complete your world quest, and you'll gain additional rep. EU, the exploit was not available for you, so there's nobody with the contract, but I'm just putting that out there. Hopefully those people who exploited get banned, but just bringing that up. Also, like I mentioned earlier in the other video, remember Dark Moon Fair is coming very, very soon. So throughout questing, you are going to gain rep tokens, and unless you're super close to whatever renown goal you have, you can consider hoarding those tokens until Sunday. Or, what some people are doing is going around doing all of the daily activities they can. You do have to actually fly around the caverns to see those, do your world quest, all of that, and they're trying to hit renown 10 before Sunday. Then they'll hop on an alt, take advantage of the rep bonus, and will get even further on their alt. So feel free to, remember that there's Dark Moon Fair, feel free to hoard points, and just get out there and do your daily content. With that being said, that is kind of it for this video. This video is really all over the place, but I just wanted to kind of bring up some points and also some markets that are doing really well. Lastly, before I go, I do want to mention that a lot of people are a little bit worried about enchanting materials, and I would say it is not time to worry yet. Remember, this is week 1, and Aspects and Worm's Crest, the non-enchanted versions, are not available to players until Season 2. So this week, nobody can craft those items, hence the reason why we see no demand. So if you haven't already, farm up those patterns, but if you have farmed up those patterns and nobody is requesting them, that is why. Next week will be the full-on patch day for that, and that is when things will get exciting on the enchanting side. So don't give up on that yet. Go get your Dracothyst, go get your new PvP items, go get your drum recipes, and go take advantage of those boosted weekly markets. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope you were able to take away one thing from this video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. And as always, everybody, have a good day.